Hello everyone, it's Melissa Davis from By Mimi with Love. And guys, I'm back with you this morning to finish up lesson 2 and start lesson 3 of my watercolor series. Before we get started, I just want to make the disclaimer that I know nothing. I know nothing, folks. I'm just practicing what I learned in a book and sharing it with you guys. Just wanted to let everybody know that I'm not trying to be a professional instructor or anything like that. Just sharing what I've learned. Anyway, here's where we left off last time. You were to practice layering, and we put on the first 3 layers on our acorns. We're ready for our next layer, and I think layering is a very important part of watercoloring. And the most important part is to let it dry between layers. So what we're going to do, again, we're going to start out with our first layer, and we're going to make it very diluted. I went ahead and got my paints ready this morning to save a little time. So I'm going to go in with the very light first layer. And we're just going to take it all the way it's my lightest color. Remember, our light is coming straight on, so our highlight would kind of be in the middle of the painting. So we're getting our first coat on here, our lightest color. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and let that dry, and then we're going to come back and put on our next layer. Okay, so my painting is dry again. I'm ready to come in with my second layer. I just want to mention that I am using the same 3 pans of color that I started with. Make sure of that. That's why I left them out of the set, so I would remember. So this is my second color, this deep red. And again, I am going to take the very light hue of this red, and I'm just going to come in and add my second layer of the red. Of course, I've always been aware of where our highlight is going to be. We definitely don't want to, drop our first brush of paint right on the highlighted part. But I do go over it lightly. Okay. Alright, looking pretty good. One thing that I like about layering, and you do have to be patient and let it completely dry to get the full effect, but as you layer it, you get so much texture. Of course, an acorn is not smooth, or much of anything, but as you layer it, you get some texture, and if you are patient, you won't tear up your paper because you're giving it time to dry. Okay, so we're going to let this dry, and we're going to come back for our darkest layer and really put some details in our painting. Okay guys, I've let my painting dry again, and we're ready to come in with our darkest color, and I'm going to just water it down a little bit because I'm going to use some really dark here because I want to get some detail on my I'm even getting it a little thicker because I'm wanting to get some detail on my acorn. I'm now using a size 8 Trenson round brush. Taking a little more time. Okay, and you can see how that's starting to really shape up. So I'm going to continue with my detail. Uh-oh, and you see there I went too far on that one. I'll turn that around maybe. That's okay. I can fix it. This is how we get our shading. I'm coming over here to this side. Which is going to be a little darker where your two acorns are touching. Of course, that's going to be just a little darker. And then where the cap comes over, it's going to be a little darker under the cap. Okay, now we're going to add a little more water. So we can get rid of some of those harsh lines. Get a little more color and texture going here. And that's really coming along. Now we're going to come in and do the same thing on this one. Except first we're going to get some more of our very brown color. And we're going to get our stem up here. Because we haven't even started it. And let it be drying. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to do the same thing on this one. Remembering where our shadows are. Of course, this one's a little darker because it's laying up against that one. Go in here and get our line going right here. I hope y'all have been practicing, because that is what I've found really makes the difference in watercoloring. You learn every time you put your paint to the brush to your paper, you're going to learn something, a new technique, an easier way to do it, a funner way to do it, a more vibrant way. So, practice is never a waste of time. And I'm going to go in with some really thin again. Get rid of some of my lines. And now we've got all kinds of texture and highlight simply by doing our layering. And I'm going to come in and get this stem. Okay. Now, we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to put on a little bit more of the darker color and add just a little bit more detail. And we'll call this one done. Okay. A little bit more under here. There we go. Alright guys, I'll be right back with you. Okay guys, I'm back, and I'm loving how my acorns are looking. With a lot of patience and layering, works out great. Now I do want to add a little more texture because they're acorns, and I'm using my size 0 round Princeton brush, and I'm going to do something called hatching. So I'm going to just lightly very lightly I'm just making diagonal marks all the way across the top of my acorn. Okay, I'm gonna hold that up so y'all can see what I did, right? Then I'm gonna go back the other way and do the same thing. And this time I'm going to keep my lines very close together. That one got a little dark. That's okay. That's okay. They should not be perfect. But as you can see, or you will be able to see, this adds a lot of texture. Pick up just a little bit more. And let me hold that up. See the texture that I'm getting out of that? And out of the lines a little bit like that, but that's okay. Now I'm going to come back with my wet and just go right back over that with my wet color. And then you can see the texture and definition. Then maybe I will come in on some of it and just Put some lines here because they would not be perfect, right? And maybe do the same thing here. And then they just start to take on their own little life. I would even go in a little bit darker on these lines, maybe add just a little bit. To get a little more texture, a little more definition. Yes, I'm liking that. And as you can tell, I'm not going to do this one because we need to move on, but I would work the hatch into that one as well. And we'll look at this again in just a few seconds when it's dry, and I'll show you how well it turned out. So, another important thing about layering, guys, with watercolor, because it's just so important, okay, is for you to be able to layer and let it dry, and I'll show you why it can be so important. We're going to start out with a dark color, okay, and I'm going back to my 12 brush, and I am going to choose a dark purple. Okay, and I really, alright, we've got a purple, and we're gonna, I drew a circle, and in my circle I put little dots, lines, squares, triangles, curvy, it don't matter, just draw a circle and put some different shapes in it. Your first color, you're going to go all the way around this circle. Just put your color everywhere. I'm not worrying about lines because I want us to get this done, and my video is getting late. Okay. Now, there's a purple, and it's a pretty intense color. The trick here is to let the purple dry. I will be right back. Okay, guys, because I completely let this dry, of course I can put a darker color on it. That makes perfect sense. I'll get some of this red that we used, and I can put that on, and it's going to be red. It doesn't mix with the purple underneath. But what's so important is we can also put a lighter color on it. So let's pick up some of this yellow and see what happens. And we are still getting our yellow color. Okay, let's see if we can do a a brighter yellow. Here's a pretty bright yellow. Have to have a little more water than that, I guess. And we're maintaining our color. We can do that because we let this dry. Of course, we can, you know, if you're adding these colors while they're wet, all you're going to end up with is mud. But because we're letting them dry, we can continue to layer colors. And in watercoloring, that's really important. You got to be able to layer colors, because our next assignment is to color a caterpillar, okay? And I've drawn me a caterpillar. If you cannot draw a caterpillar, then draw a straight stick. And let me show you what I mean. Just draw a wide stick, not too wide, and then put you some little places in it and some feet on it, because you're going to color all of these different colors. Okay? You all can practice that using this method until next week, and then I'll show you how it's done. But as you can see, even if, and let's see if we can do this. Let's get some black. I'm just going to go right across here with our black. And it's just covering up. It's not mixing with that purple. And I'll let that black dry. But we can put color on top of it too. For instance, the red. Let's put this pretty green. How about this pretty green on top of this red? Or this is a teal is what it is. And there you have it. You're still keeping the integrity of your color. And that's how you're going to do your caterpillar. Okay? Because they're all different colors. He should be green and brown and yellow. So choose 3 different colors. Now you don't have to color the branch, and the branch would be your 4th color. But choose 3 or 4 different colors. Layer your colors, let them dry, and see how well this technique works for you. Because now I can paint anything, I can layer colors. It's just a matter of letting them dry. And look how nice our acorns look. I will put, definitely put some texture in that one too. But I love the way that looks. Watercoloring, you just have to be patient and let your colors dry between layers. Okay, now I'm going to see if we can find a somewhat clean brush. And we'll go in on that black with a bright pink. How about that? Oh, let's get the neon pink. That's always fun. A little neon pink. And let's see if that will work. And it sure does, as you can see. You just gotta let these layers dry, and it will work. Look at that. Another layer on top of that layer. This works all day, guys. From Virginia, this was lesson number 3. I hope you learned something. Please come back and learn with me at Mimi's Watercoloring World from Virginia. We'll be talking to you. Bye-bye.